The Stranger Things Podcast, Season 2, Episode 10, bonus episode with John and Karen. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Stranger Things Podcast. I'm Daryl.
And I'm Addie.
And today we are joined by two of our very special guest hosts.
Karen.
Not again.
Oh, gosh. I think that was a John.
It is a John. Thanks so much, guys.
It's your Maids of Steel.
It is. It was either John or Dustin. I wasn't sure which one we had on the phone there. That was weird.
It's the Scarlet Cougar and the Silver Vox.
Indeed.
The Silver Fox?
No, Vox.
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 V-O-X.
What's a Vox?
Voice.
The voice. Yes.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, you can tell I don't listen to your podcast. Otherwise, I would have known that. So
Thanks
I just
so
outed
much.
myself.
You sure did.
Yeah, sorry about that. Well, it's great to have you guys on the show with us today.
I'm pleased.
It's an honor to be here.
You know, we were originally going to have Corey on the line with us, and we were going to record last week, and Addie and Addie was sick last week. I got it this week. Addie's still getting better. I'm getting better. We feel good. We still have the congestion, so my apologies for that. And I wish we would have been able to have Corey on with us today as well. He had to work this weekend, but John, you stepped in, and we're going to have Corey on a different time. And so this is cool to have both of you guys. So the format for today's episode is really just, it's an open format. We've invited John and Karen on because not only are they part of the Golden Spiral Media family, as they said they do our Maid of Steel podcast, which is our Supergirl focused podcast, but they also love Stranger Things, and we wanted to get them on and just talk about Stranger Things with them. And we've got some news to share as well, some of the headlines that are making the rounds around the internet, and just kind of have an open discussion on Stranger Things. And this is kind of what we're going to be doing a lot during the off season. We'll have some more Golden Spiral Media hosts on, and we're also going to have some of you that are listening on. So as we've said in the past, if you're one of our listeners and want to be a part of a future Roundtable episode, we are going to be doing that. And so you can just give us an email over at feedback@goldenspiralmedia.com or go over to goldenspiralmedia.com/feedback and reach out to us that way. Let us know that you're interested in doing a roundtable, and we'll put you on the list. We have a few of you that have reached out already, and we're grateful for that. So we'd love to have you join us. We'll be trying to do an episode once every month between now and Stranger Things 3. We did miss January. Sorry about that, but hopefully that will be the lone exception between now and then. So, guys, let's get it kicked off with some news. Well, we've got 3 news headlines to share with you guys today. And Karen and John, I would love it if you guys wanted to jump in and take one of these. Do you feel so inclined?
I wouldn't mind talking about the first one. I mean, unless you do, John.
No, please, Karen. Go ahead. I defer.
So the first one is that Stranger Things Season 3 episode count was revealed, and it was 10 episodes, which is down a little bit, right, from the other 2 seasons. And I was a little disappointed by this news, but I think it was in response to the fact that people didn't like one of the episodes from last season, and they're trying to tighten it up a little bit.
Karen, isn't it 8?
Is it 8?
Yeah, 8 down from 9.
Okay,
yeah,
so 8 down from 9. Sorry.
Yeah.
So it was down a little bit. I'm sorry. I was thinking of something.
No, but yeah, your principles is still the same thing.
Right. So it's 8 down from... Okay. So anyway, I think they're trying to tighten it up and to make it a more cohesive arc from the last couple of seasons, instead of throwing in a weird, episode that people are going to hate. Now, mind you, I loved that episode.
Hear, hear.
The 11-centric episode from last season. And I didn't mind the fact that they threw in one kind of offbeat episode, but I do think that that's the reason they're doing that. So, that was kind of why I wanted to take that first headline. But what do you guys think about the fact that there's less episodes this next season?
I was expecting them to put in more.
Yeah, I was hoping for more. I really was.
Well, you guys talked about that, some of these things are better when they're drawn out over a longer, season. But this does give them the advantage of keeping things really, really tight, and you know that every moment is essential, and you don't have to parse out, well, what's filler and what's not, and that kind of a thing. So I'm good with the 8 episodes.
8 is good. I'm okay with 8. I do like Karen's point of view that this might be in response to that 9th episode wasn't really well received. I mean, it wasn't episode number 9. It was episode 7. Yeah. And but that would have, everyone kind of looks at that episode as being the one that was out of place, and so maybe they take that out, and now they're left with 8, and so they'll stick with 8. So I'm okay with it. I think it's what Stranger Things is. 8 episodes, 8-ish episodes has been what it's always done. The previous 2 seasons, 8-ish. This is 8-ish. So I'm okay with that. How do you guys, I think this might be a good time to talk about, though, that specific episode. You guys, I think both of you guys binged it. I know Addie did, obviously. So how did you feel about that episode? Did it feel out of place, or did you, John, I know you said you liked it when you said here, and I know, Karen, it seemed like you liked it too, but at the same time, how do you feel about how it situated itself within the season as a whole?
I didn't actually binge it. I watched episode by episode, and you guys had already finished the podcast by the time I did it. So I would watch this an episode and then listen, and watch an episode and listen. Oh. So by the time that I got to it, which is why I never left feedback, unfortunately, but by the time I got to it, I really, really dug it because it gave Eleven a much bigger world, which I think is essential for her character. If we keep her in Hawkins and we keep her surrounded to the events that are right around there, I think it limits her character. And this, whether it works or it doesn't, at least it gives her the opportunity to have a much bigger role to play in the outside world.
Yeah, I agree. And it also gives her an opportunity to branch out and to meet other people that have gone through the same thing she went through. She doesn't have that bond with anyone in Hawkins. So to see her actually meet someone that's been through the same thing, and someone that she can kind of, say, hey, thanks for at least understanding me. I mean, it ends up that she has to leave them anyway. At least she found people that understand her. And, even the kids in Hawkins don't really understand her. So it was nice to see that there were people that she could kind of bond with, even temporarily. So it did give her that 3-dimensional look in that episode. And it stays with her afterwards because we know that there's more behind her. She's already 3-dimensional, but it's just more. There's more to her. And, it adds value to her relationship with Hopper, because now Hopper may not see that part of her, but she sees that she can have a better life with him than she ever could with people that she met that might know her better. She has that sort of bond with him now. And I really do think it was necessary to have that episode. I really do. And I binged it, by the way. It was during our vacation to Florida, and it was a day where my husband had to go and do stuff with his sisters. So I was left all alone in his sister's house that day. And I was like, oh, gee, what a shame. It's the day that Stranger Things comes out. I'll just sit here all day long and watch this show. And I just watched the whole thing. And they came home like an hour after I was done. And I was like, oh, wow, good timing, guys. Let's go eat dinner. So it was just the perfect day for it. I watched the whole thing. And
so, Addie, I have a question for you. What I noticed, particularly as it related to episode 7, was that, 11 was just beginning to use her powers to maybe not for the best outcomes, right? Like she took Max down because she was jealous, right? And so then she was able to go into this area where 8 was obviously using her powers for criminal criminal things and that kind of a thing. And so when she came back, she got the chance to make a decision about how she was going to use her powers and what those outcomes were going to be. Did that hit you at all, or how did that play with you?
I didn't really think about it like that. I was just kind of disappointed that she left them like that. Like, I thought it would have been interesting to see what she would have done if she went with them instead of just leaving, because they were being chased down by the police and they were trying to escape, and you just see the wall start crumbling down whenever 11 tells Callie that she's not going to stay with them. But I wanted to see what it would have been like if she stayed there. I mean, I'm not saying another whole episode without the rest of the cast, but maybe like half another episode, and she could have like gone with them, and at the end she would have been like, hey, I want to go back to Hawkins, drop me off there. But I thought that would have been interesting.
I agree. I think it would have been interesting, but there also would have been even more backlash, I think, with 2 episodes.
Yeah, I still think I agree with everything you guys said. I think 11 is better for it. I think her character is richer and deeper because of it. And it was a smart move of the Duffer Brothers to do that. I think it still might have played out had it been done over a series of episodes. So it wasn't all this and then like no Hawkins for a full episode and no Mike and the gang for a full episode. If they had just kind of had this happening over the course of a couple of episodes or maybe 3 episodes so that we still got the pieces of both storylines. But otherwise, I think it was a great move on their part and really helps them have a better palette with which to color her character on season 3 and beyond.
I kind of like it all by itself, because then we got the whole story all in one chunk and we didn't have to be distracted by anything else. I'm not saying that the back and forth wouldn't have been good too. I think it would have gotten less complaints that way, and it might have been better for the whole series to do it that way. But I dig it the way it was. So,
all right, well, cool. John, do you want to take this second headline, or would you either take it?
Absolutely. No, I'm happy to. So we're starting to get a few details, very, very few details about what season 3 has in store for us. And the Duffer Brothers have confirmed that, first of all, we are definitely going to move the timeline forward to 1985. And so this will include some great pop culture references like Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that. And also, we know that production is going to start in just a couple of months from now in April. Now, David Harbour has come out and said officially, or has been taken on his word that will probably be 2019 until we actually see these episodes. And I think that's fair given the start of production in April. But yeah, I mean, we're just starting to get a few little nuggets that come out here.
Yeah. So if only we knew anyone that lived in the Atlanta area.
What?
Oh, wait. Karen just moved to the Atlanta area.
Do you know someone in the Atlanta area? Do you?
Now, Karen, last week I know that you had a doctor appointment at Emory. And I told you, hey, the Hawkins Lab is a building that's on the campus of Emory. Now, that's a big place. Did you happen to see it while you were there? Or I'm sure the odds are not very good.
I was in the Emory campus that's out here by me, not the one that's in town.
Okay.
Unfortunately, although this campus is awesome looking, by the way, but it wasn't the campus that they film on. I looked around to see, but it's definitely not. This one looks much different than that campus.
Okay.
So it's the one downtown, I'm guessing. But yeah, I will definitely be out and about.
Addie and I have it on our bucket list at some point to make it out to Atlanta during filming so that we can maybe
accidentally run into them.
Yeah, maybe get lucky enough to find a filming location, but at least do a scouting tour of things they've been to in the past and see those in person.
When we take Uber, we don't have a car here, so we take Uber everywhere, and it's amazing the people that we get as Uber drivers here. One of them was a guy who does extra work all over Atlanta. And he's like, there's a site that you can go to and you can see what's filming. So you can also sign up to be an extra for all these things. And so I'm going to go to that site all the time and find out what's filming when and, all kinds of stuff. Right now, actually, The Walking Dead is filming. So that's on. And Fear the Walking Dead as well, although that's not here right now. That's in Lower California and Upper Mexico right now. But there's a lot of things filming here always. Stranger Things. There's some other little shows. The Gifted films here.
Amy Acker.
Yep, Amy Acker. So there's quite a few things that film here that I'm looking at. Maybe stick my toe in the water of extra work at some point.
Well, that's cool. Now, those two headlines, they came out because we were planning on recording last week. They came out, they're over a week old, but still relevant. This third headline is brand new within the last 24 hours. And I think that this, we're talking about filming beginning in April. Here we are essentially at the beginning of March. We're less than a week from March. And so April's going to be here before we know it. And then things are going to start trickling out fairly regularly. Of course, they'll be doing their best to keep a lid on any type of spoilers, but that's the exciting thing. Even though we have to wait a year before the season comes out, there should be at least some sort of steady trickle of news to talk about. And that's one reason why we're going to be doing these episodes once a month, so that we can kind of share the news that's out there and talk about our feelings on that. This third headline here just came out, as I said, in the last 24 hours. This is from that hashtagshow.com. And it looks like filming is going to, again, start in April and go through October. So that's a pretty big window for 8 episodes. That's a much longer shoot than I would have thought of. What about you guys?
Yeah. It seems long, but they may just be allowing for a lot of special effects, makeup, and stuff like that too.
Yeah, maybe so. We do also have reports. Again, this is an exclusive from that hashtag show, that there are going to be 3 characters that are going to be added to the show. And these characters are as follows. So the characters' names may just be placeholders and not, be the actual final character name once the show airs. But we have Major Larry Klein, described as a classic 1980s style slick politician. Klein is described as pathetic and driven only by his own interests. And the studio is looking for a male 40s to 60s to fill the role.
You could do that.
I can do pathetic 40-year-old.
There you go.
I'm built for that role. And then we have Bruce, who is a morally compromised news reporter in his 50s. Bruce was described.
You could do
that. I love you too, sweetie. Golly, I'm not sure how to respond to that. Bruce was described as outwardly sexist, overweight, and bedraggled. And the final one is Patricia Brown. Patricia seems to be filling the role of the sweet neighborhood elder. The studio is looking for a woman in her 70s for the role, which we'll see.
We could do mom.
You're just full of venom today. Which we'll see her spending a lot of time tending to her garden and offering her advice to the neighborhood kids. Given the Duffer Brothers' affinity for subverting expectations, we find ourselves wondering if this sweet old lady might have some connection to the Upside Down. Then again, that might be just the type of thing they want us to think we know, and she just ends up being a sweet old lady. Of course, that's conjecture straight from the folks.
I mean, it could be mom, except we can't keep plants alive, so...
Yeah, she's not very good at gardening. But, yeah, we'll see what we have there.
I would rather she be like a get off my lawn old lady from the 80s. But it seems like she's not going to be that. She's going to be a nice
I don't know. Let's see. This article was written by Charles Murphy, and I'm kind of like Charles here. I'm like, you got that sweet old lady who seems sweet on the outside, but, she's got some skeletons buried in her basement or something like that. Maybe I've watched too many 80s horror films or something, but we'll see.
Get off my lawn. I would rather it be like that, but yeah. More characters. So does that mean we're going to lose some of our characters from season 2?
Well, no. Going back to the details that I left out, almost everyone is coming back. I didn't see Ted, but I do see Karen, and everybody else, as far as the major players, are coming back.
I don't like Ted.
I don't mind if they lose Ted, because the way they've written that character is something I've already gone on record as saying I don't really appreciate. So I'd rather them leave him out than to continue to make him look like a total buffoon.
No, I just don't like him at all. He's annoying.
Yeah, but where would he go? I mean, if the family is not breaking up, then yeah.
Well, yeah, he's at work, or
he
sleep
died
in his recliner. Who knows?
He died.
Wow, Addie.
Wow, dark.
Oh well,
so dark.
Yeah, Addie's bringing it today, isn't she?
Yeah,
I'm a nice person.
Yeah. And then one last thing we want to mention, what came out this week. Addie and I live in Oklahoma City, and so we're just about 3 hours north of Dallas. And Fan Expo Dallas is taking place April 6th through the 8th, so just over a month away. And it came out this last week that some of our Stranger Things stars are going to be making an appearance at Fan Expo Dallas, again, April 6th through the 8th. And those are, Addie, you want to say who's going to be there?
Sadie Sink, Gaten Matarazzo, and Caleb McLaughlin.
So we are making plans to be there. I would say the odds of us being there, and Colby, my son, her brother, is probably...
Does Colby have to go?
Yeah, well, technically it's Colby's turn to go to the next con.
I am Colby now.
So the question is, are you also going to go?
Yes.
Okay.
Stranger Things people, I'm going to be there.
So I think all three of us will probably be there. Addie and I are very, very seriously considering cosplaying. And should we tell them? I'll just tell. I would be there as Hopper.
Right.
I would be there as 11.
Right. Of course.
Which version of 11?
Dad wants me to be Punk 11, but I'm not sure if I could do Punk 11.
No, you could do Punk 11.
I don't have the hair for it, and I'm not cutting my hair.
The challenge
don't cut
with
your hair.
Addie,
do a wig.
Yeah, Addie's hair is down to her lower back. It's pretty long.
Well,
so she could put a wig on. Yeah,
and you know how much hair I have. I've done a wig before.
Okay,
you have to be really careful, on where you put your hair. You usually have to do it in like 2 or 3 sections to put a wig on, but you could do it. I urge you to do it.
I think it would be fun.
Oh, Colby has the hair to be Punk 11.
He does, actually, right now. His is kind of in that weird length. And also appearing at Dallas Comic Con is, since we already mentioned, Amy Acker from The Gifted. So they've got quite a lineup. Gotham, Ben McKenzie, and Marina Baccarin are going to be there. Karen, I know those would be of interest to you.
Awesome.
Nice.
So they'll have stars from, and Paul Rubens, who was technically in Gotham as well, and of course Batman Returns, but better known as Pee Wee Herman. Let's see.
He's annoying.
He is. He's funny.
Yes, I agree, Addie.
The
he
Princess
was okay
Bride cast will be there. Back to the Future cast will be there.
Good.
Of course, Anthony Daniels will be there. He's C-3PO. Billy D. Williams will be there. Anyway, should be a fun one, and I think we'll be there. So if you're going to be there, email us, let us know. We'll do a fan meetup. So again, just feedback at goldenspiralmedia.com or hit us out through the form, which is at goldenspiralmedia.com/feedback.
What Comic-Con is that?
Fan Expo Dallas is what it's called.
Fan Expo Dallas.
Mm-hmm. And you can find more information about that at fanexpodallas.com.
Oddly enough.
Indeed. All right. Well, that's the news for this week. We've got some topics of discussion that we'd like to talk about. And Karen, why don't you go first?
Yeah, I put a lot down here. We've already covered a couple. So feelings about the lost sister, we already got that. I wondered how satisfied you guys were with Barb's death resolution.
Well, I mean, they still kind of lied about it. They said it was like due to like exposure or whatever, when that's not actually happened. That's not what actually happened. But it would be kind of weird if they did tell everyone what actually happened. So, I mean, it was good enough, but not like great. And I was hoping like Nancy would have like flashbacks of her, so Barb would technically like have new scenes in season 2, but only through like flashbacks and stuff with Nancy. And I wanted Nancy to be like really depressed and like feel guilty about what happened, because it was kind of her fault.
Yeah, she did feel guilty.
Yeah, but not guilty enough. And I wanted her to have like flashbacks. Like whenever there was that girl in the library that kind of looked like Barb, I was hoping that would be like, oh, it's actually Barb, and she's just like seeing her, and like it's a flashback. But no, it was someone else. Come on, really?
Yeah, I mean, I did like that they resolved it, because I was really upset that they didn't in the first season. They just kind of left it, oh, she's dead, but, nothing really came of that. So to have kind of an ending to that at least made me feel better. But I do think, I don't know, I would have liked, like you said, scenes with, the real actress with Barb, it would have been nice to have some flashbacks, because she has become a bit of a phenomenon.
And I think for that reason, I think she will be back in season 3. I'm gonna plant my flag right here. I think
some flashbacks or some real.
I think she is going to be. I think she's going to become like an agent, like a liaison with the Upside Down.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Okay, that's pretty out there, John.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
No, but I agree with Karen that she's become this thing that I think got bigger and bigger and bigger over time. And so I think the Duffer Brothers are sort of in a position of, oh, okay, we've got to find a way to, reincorporate her. So I don't know. That's where I'm going with it.
Okay. But isn't Shannon like on a different, like River, what's it called? Riverdale? Isn't she on Riverdale now?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. She could take some time. It's going to go into hiatus during this when they're filming.
Especially if it's over the summer, she could fill a role in a couple of episodes and do that pretty easily, I think.
That's during the hiatus, essentially. So, yeah.
Okay.
I think she could do it. And she definitely loved being Barb, because she's done things like, for the Emmys and stuff like that as Barb. So I don't think she'd be averse to it.
At Comic-Con this last year, when Addison and I got shut out, she was there and was in the audience, quote unquote. She was planted in the audience, came to the microphone to ask a fan question, and then made an appearance, right? So,
right.
She's definitely embracing that character, and the fandom still loves her. I mean, if she made an appearance in any form, the fandom would love it. But I think the Duffer Brothers recognize that they've got to do it in a way that makes sense.
What if Barb had a long-lost twin sister?
That's an option.
It is an option.
I mean, they can give Eleven a sister. They can give anyone a sister.
That's true.
When you're talking about science fiction, though, there are always ways to bring a character back.
That's
so
true.
Yeah.
The Upside Down has the potential to bring her back.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and it can be Barb. So I would love to see her back as Barb. I think that would be great. Okay. And then I wanted to talk about how we felt about the new characters from season 2, just cause. Now that it's all over and you guys have had a chance to talk about them and digest them and everything. So, Bob.
I wish I'd given Bob, I still blame Corey. I wish Corey was here so I could, duke it out with him. He planted that bug in my head. I blame him for my distrust of Bob, but I loved Bob, and I wish, he hadn't died so we could have more of him, but he was great. I'm glad we got that time with him. He did die in
a really stupid way.
I know. He
was just standing there.
I know. He was
a hero.
Yeah.
He still was a hero. Even though it was stupid.
Superhero.
Yeah.
That's right.
He saved lives. What about you, John? You like him? I mean, how can you not, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, same-wise.
Plus, Goonies.
Right.
Plus, I mean, Goonies. Okay, and then we have Max and Billy. And they are separate, definitely. I mean, personally, I love Max. Billy, I can see a place for him since, Steve is not the bad guy anymore. But they are interesting characters. You're not sold on them, Addie.
I mean, I don't hate Billy. He has some justifying qualities.
How can you say that about him and then rip Steve forever? I mean, Steve, what the worst that Steve ever was is like a half measure of what Billy actually is, and yet you trash Steve all the time, and you're like, yeah, Billy's okay. What is wrong with you?
Billy is way worse than Steve.
She's laughing so hard right now.
It's all about the physique.
Steve's pretty bad.
Oh, that's it. The physique. Is that it? Huh? Addie?
What?
You giving Billy a pass because of his physique?
Ew, no, he's ugly.
It's the mullet, isn't
It's
it?
the hair. It's definitely the hair.
Well, Steve does win on the hair.
Steve has way better hair.
Yeah, he does.
Definitely.
He even told us the secrets.
Yeah.
He did. He gave us his secrets. Farrah Fawcett.
Yeah.
That's right. But Max, what about Max?
I liked her.
Yeah, she's awesome. I want more of her. And I think that she and Eleven have the opportunity to really form a strong alliance. They just need to have a conversation and realize that there was some jealousy there and some false assumptions made, especially on Eleven's part. And I can see them really being having a cool alliance. And I still think there's more than meets the eye to Max. And I know I had these crazy theories about her and Billy all season, but I'm not letting off on that. I think there's still more than meets the eye with Max, and maybe Billy too, but especially Max.
You go, Dad. You keep it up.
Hey, if you can throw out your crazy theory,
that's true.
I'll throw out mine. I'll keep mine out there with Max.
I think she's just a normal person, but whatever. How about you, John? What do you think of them?
Yeah, I'm not sure that they haven't written, especially Billy, kind of into a corner. And so I'm not really sure where they have to go with him. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, the last time we saw Billy, he had was it the baseball bat or something that came very close to his personal space
yes.
as the kids beat him up.
Yeah.
So was that the last time we saw him? I mean, and do we think that would have any positive impact on his personality?
No positive.
I think he will leave Max alone more.
Do you think so?
Yeah, because she almost beat him up. She could have killed him, but she didn't. So I think...
Yeah, but I think it'll make him meaner.
Maybe, but maybe not to her. Maybe like to some people at school or like his teachers.
In general. Just in general.
Maybe.
Well, okay, let's consider this too. Was he a senior?
I don't know.
Or a junior?
No, just
we're skipping entire year here, right? Yeah. So if he was a senior or even a junior, then he's gone now. In terms of the school.
Do you really think he'd be gone?
He may still be one of those guys that never leaves town, right?
Yeah.
He's gonna be one of those guys that still drives around in his Camaro, even though he graduated 2 years ago, and
working at the gas station.
Yeah, does burnouts in front of the school to impress all the guys that are still there.
Exactly.
I mean,
that would be the guy he is.
Maybe he failed and he's still in high school, and he was actually a freshman.
Well, I think we have to face that eventually. These older teens they have to kind of cross that line of, okay, do we just, they've got to come or go or do something.
Right. So, yeah. I think Nancy and Steve are also in that same, if they're going to be skipping an entire year.
And Jonathan.
That's right. Cause they were already talking about college, entries and stuff like that. Remember, they had some of those conversations. So are they going to be going to the community college now, or even moving away to Indianapolis to go to college there?
Yeah, none of them
or doing
are rich.
A vocation of some sort.
all of them are kind of, middle or low income.
Well, except for Steve.
I feel like
okay, yeah.
Like Steve could go into his dad's job or something, maybe.
Sure.
Nancy and Steve are like the highest, and then like Will is like probably like the lowest, and like Dustin and Lucas are kind of in the middle.
Yeah,
Jonathan would go either work there in town or he would go to community college.
Yeah.
Right. He would have to work somewhere. Like he'd get a job at the 7-Eleven or something like that. So he'd
work
still be
with his
around.
mom at Fomart.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, okay, how about Dr. Owens? That's Paul Reiser.
Yeah.
Yes. Love him.
I'd like to see him back.
This was part of my note. He has to come back. I just don't know in what capacity since the lab is shuttered. So
I would love to see him come back. He was on, oh God, what was he on? Oh, Joel McHale has a show on Netflix called The Joel McHale Show with Joel McHale.
Yeah.
And so he was walking around Netflix showing everyone like how it is to have a show on Netflix. And he walked into a Stranger Things area. So if you guys get a chance to watch his show from last week, you really should. So he walked into this area and it was Paul Reiser who represented the show in there. And he was like, have some coffee. And he's like, okay, Joel said, so how do I get out of here? And he's like, okay, go through the plants to the left and go through the slimy area. And then, you went the wrong way. So it was really funny. He's really kind of embracing this character as well, his Dr. Owens character. And I loved seeing that he's, leaning in. So it was great. And if you want to watch it, it's really cool that he's, doing this whole Netflix thing. So
cool. I think there still is a chance for him. I mean, we did see the military moving into the lab there as Marty Bauman was interacting with them and cheering them on, which was great. We'll talk about. I said Marty, it's Murray, but we'll talk about him in just a moment. When we talked about the three new characters, one of those was a military character, right? So that's kind of what I'm thinking is that military character is going to be kind of the front of the military that we saw move into the lab. But I don't think that it necessarily means that Dr. Owens is out. It could just be a different dynamic and Dr. Owens is there, under new management, if you will. I'd like to see that because he was really great and he's another guy that I didn't trust and I can't blame Corey for. So, I'd love to see more of him and give him a chance this time.
Well, it's not like he was on the right side to begin with.
Well, that's true. And we definitely got to see him make a stand. It became clear what side he was on.
Right. When it counted, he made a stand.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And Daryl, by the way, that's the mayor, Larry, that they're talking about, not a major. So not military, but
did I say major? Did I misread that earlier?
Yeah, I think so. So, and I think that's why you're thinking military. But
that's exactly
they're going
right.
to bring in, the mayor of Hawkins. So
I misread that and okay, rats. Okay, well, thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right.
Interestinger and interestinger.
Yeah. Well, we mentioned Murray. What did you guys think about Murray?
I loved his character. I thought he was so funny.
He's played by a comedian called Brett Gelman, and I love him so hard. He is so funny. So to see him on this show, I was like, oh, more, please. Just more. He's so dry and sarcastic, and he literally was himself in this role. And I really loved it. I loved that he threw Jonathan and Nancy together. And he was like, okay, whatever you want to do, wink, wink. I'm going to go back here. And I mean, he was so funny in this role. He was so great.
Will we see him, though, in season 3?
Oh, I don't know.
I hope so.
I
don't think so. I think he wants to be off the grid, and he exposed the dirty secrets of Hawkins, and I think he's going to go hide again.
I think so, too, but I would love to see him.
Yeah, he was great.
I think it'd be nice if Jonathan and Nancy became all friends and they would like hang out together sometimes. So Nancy and Jonathan went to go find him again.
They could be like the lone gunman of... You don't know what the lone gunmen are?
No.
Never mind.
Well...
No, I know agree. That's a good idea.
I know. Karen and John
What if they needed information again?
Yeah, he could be their go-to guy for that, for sure.
So what about Erica? Because, hello, Erica was awesome. Nerd.
Yeah, we've got to see more of her, I think. I think the audience loved her. I think that the actress I don't know who played Erica off the top of my head, but...
Priya Ferguson.
Oh, thank you. Mm-hmm. I think that she nailed it when she was given those little nuggets a couple of times this season. She just knocked them out of the park. So I would love to see more of her.
Yeah, she was so sarcastic and funny.
The challenge with her may be an identity outside of Lucas, because, Lucas is obviously one of the main story drivers. He's in the gang, in his group of friends, where she really only fits into the story with him. So how do you get her into the story without making him be at home more? And so maybe those stories shift where they hang out at the Lucas's household instead of Mike's household. I don't know how you that's what I'm trying to say is I don't know how you get her into the story more. But if they can find a way to do that makes sense, I would be in favor of it.
How about little sister follows them and gets, into trouble following them and they need to do something?
Yeah, maybe so.
Maybe she could be mature enough to be friends with them, not in their party, but kind of a side member of their party, just I'm kind of friends with Colby's friends and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, but they have already said she's going to be a big part of season 3, so I'm very happy about that.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Or at least, she'll be in season 3. And they say there will be way more of Lucas's seen stealing sister in Stranger Things 3. So.
Yeah.
Red alert! I loved her. I really loved her.
And I loved that family. We got a little bit of his mom and dad as well. And again, when they've shown Ted, he's been an idiot buffoon stereotype of the TV dad. And what we got in Caleb's house was completely different. It was a more balanced family and a dad that wasn't aloof or disinterested, and a mom, frankly, that's the same way, and so I liked that, and I would love to see more of that family dynamic than what we've seen with the Wheelers. So I'm not saying I don't want to see more of Ted and Karen. I'm just saying I liked that. I liked what the family that they've created there with the Sinclairs. So that'd be cool if they did more of that.
I agree.
I want to see more of Dustin's mom.
Yeah, she's a trip.
Oh, poor Dustin's mom.
I know, Mrs. Henderson.
They need to get a new cat.
She does.
Well, she had one, didn't she, in the end?
Did she get a new one?
She did.
Oh, yeah, she did.
Yeah, she was holding a new cat.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay,
it needs a name.
One of my questions was, and this is mostly for Addie, why do you think Dustin keeps D'Artagnan, Dart, and why do you think he keeps it a secret? Because that really bothered me.
I think maybe because he wasn't really getting credit from his friends and he was kind of being pushed to the side, especially because of Max. And Lucas was obviously taking the lead with Max. And Mike was all depressed with 11 being gone, and he was off with Will. So that's he's by himself and he wanted something to get credit for. So I think it was kind of because of that, and he wanted attention.
Yeah, it just worried me a lot about Dustin. I know you love Dustin, so that's why I wanted to ask you. It worried me a lot because Dustin knows how dangerous all this is. And to keep what can potentially be such it's literally dangerous, killing someone dangerous. to keep that and to keep it a secret from everyone, the motivation behind it was skewed. So to learn what his motivations were, I really wanted to get in his head and figure out what that was. And I do think it had a lot to do with Max and a lot to do with the fact that he felt displaced. But I still feel like he should have said something that maybe not keeping it a secret would have changed that dynamic a little bit. That maybe he'd want to not keep it a secret so that some of the focus could be back on him.
But, I don't know that he knew, the full extent of what Will had gone through and that he was still dealing with the after effects of this until it got to the point where it was obvious that Dart was not just, was
a little lizard. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So I think as he put those pieces together, I agree. I think he crossed the line where he only got Steve involved, although he was trying to get everybody involved, but where he only got Steve involved and kind of kept it on the down low after that. I think that's where I have the problem.
Yeah.
But it did work out for him in the end, since he had that attachment with Dart, and whenever he had all his friends were trapped in the Upside Down and Dart wouldn't move, he was able to distract him and get all his friends out of there safely. So that paid off.
That's true.
Yeah. Yep.
He gave him the candy bar. That was.
I love Three Musketeers too.
That was very cute.
It's not just nougat.
I don't like milk chocolate. Ugh.
I like dark chocolate and milk chocolate. I just don't like white chocolate. It's disgusting.
Dark chocolate. Okay, Addie. Crunchy or chewy chocolate chip cookies?
Chewy, definitely.
Oh yeah.
No.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, Karen, you're outvoted here.
Oh. So backstory time. Karen is a very, very important part of my business, Pro Podcast Solutions. And we had this argument going on among the team for almost a year now. I think it started last June, about which is better, chewy or crunchy, whatever. What do you call them?
Chips
Crunchy?
Ahoy.
No, I know, but I mean, what's the alternate?
Crunchy or chewy?
Crunchy or chewy, yeah. Chocolate chip cookies, yeah, the Chips Ahoy. And, I've been trying to tell Karen that the chewy are the way to go.
But your wife agrees with me.
You know what? She's wrong about a lot of things.
No!
This is just one of them.
Yeah, she thinks the Thunder is better than Golden State.
Okay,
So.
you're wrong about that one.
Am I? No, I don't think I am.
So anyway, that's why she asked that. No, it's chewy. It's chewy.
Crunchy doesn't fall apart when you put it in the milk.
But
milk?
Crunchy does.
Milk
it
is
crumbles
disgusting.
all over the place. Yeah, I mean,
Why would
you take a bite and you get a handful of it, and you're like, oh, that's gross.
Oh, so good. You guys are all wrong. Anyway, okay. I give up.
You can't tell me that cookies right out of the oven.
More cookies for Carrie and me.
Oh yeah, John, you're talking.
That's different.
Yeah,
warm cookies are different. Warm cookies are warm.
Put your crunchy cookies in the microwave.
More cookies for me and Carrie. That's all I can say.
Okay.
All right. So how big a role, we talked about this a little bit, but how big a role do you think the older kids will play in season 3? That's Nancy, Jonathan, and Steve. And Billy, if you want to, discuss
Billy. Woohoo.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, Billy.
I watched the first episode of Beyond Stranger Things actually last night, and I'll be watching the rest of them.
Oh, those are good.
Probably by the time we record again, I will have seen all of them. But
with Jim Rash?
Yeah. And one of the things that the Duffer Brothers mentioned was, Steve was kind of the antagonist or the bad guy or whatever for the first part of season 1, and then he changed and he couldn't really fill that role anymore, which is something that Addie and I had discussions about. And so they brought in Billy to be that role. And of course he was that role on steroids. And he he doesn't ever really get redeemed. We don't ever really see a change. And we already talked here earlier about maybe that altercation he had with the kids will have a positive change on him. Probably not. If they feel like they still need someone to play that role, then I think we're going to get more of Billy. If they feel like either the fandom didn't receive him well or they don't need that role, then I think we'll get less of him. And I don't know where they're going to come down. But to me, that's the way to look at it. And that's just my chair. I obviously don't act like I know anything near what the Duffer Brothers know about storytelling, but, where's the story going to go in season 3? And does he have a role? Because to me, he's a pretty one-dimensional character. So I could take him. I don't really care if he's gone or not, because he's just one-dimensional and he doesn't really add anything to the story except for that one dimension that they need him for.
Do we need a human antagonist?
Exactly,
or not?
Right? Yeah, that's what it comes down to in season 3. Do we need a human antagonist, or will that be found in other areas? And I think you could argue, well, what other areas are there? Well, the Upside Down, and we got quite a bit of that in season 2. Did we need him for that? I don't know that we did. I don't know really that the season 2 was better because he was there. I don't know.
It was just a playoff of Max, I think, really.
Yeah. And at times Steve, but more so Max. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
And to make Steve look better, maybe.
Yeah.
So that we could redeem Steve all the way, I think.
Yeah, even Eddie likes Steve now.
Yeah, he had a purpose. I don't know that we wouldn't have been able to do that without it. I mean, I think we could have done that without him. So I can see why they dropped him in. It was an easy road to that. And he did have another dimension because he was beaten up by his dad, and we see why he was so mean to Max, and I can see where they were building a character there. Whereas Steve was bad because of peer pressure, which isn't so much a kind of a inbreeding sort of thing. It's a character flaw. But Billy is bad because of conditioning, which means that he'll probably be bad until that conditioning is, taken out by therapy or, some other form of unconditioning, deconditioning, however you want to put it. All Steve has to do is not listen to other people anymore. Steve can actually stop. So, those are two different antagonists, and they made Steve a nice guy by just letting him fight the bad guy in season 1. And then they, made him even better in season 2 by, the babysitting and all that stuff, which I really like. I like Steve. I think he's a good character. But Billy, again, same as you, I could take him or leave him. I really don't think he was totally necessary. I think Max would have been fine on her own. So, I mean, that's just my opinion. But Nancy and Jonathan, can they just get together already?
Well, I think they are. I mean, surely after their situation with Murray Bauman, I don't think there's any going back. Like season 1, they kind of flirted and kind of, it looked like they were going to get together. And then a month later, the resolution of the season, you see that Nancy and Steve are back together. So I don't see that happening again. I think it's Jonathan and Nancy are going to be together now.
I hope so. Jonathan is very tortured, though.
He is. Yeah, it's going to be a completely different dynamic for her with Jonathan than it would have Steve.
Right.
And I still think that she and Steve are a better fit for each other.
I do too.
But I do think the story needs to give them their time together. They've kind of written it that way.
Right. I think Jonathan needs someone like Nancy, though.
Well, I think Jonathan just needs... Jonathan's a good dude. He's just been given a rotten hand, and he's trying to do the best. He's a noble kid. We've seen that from the very first episode of the series. Mm-hmm. He's really a good-hearted kid. Just has not been given any breaks in life, and we'll see what happens. I want the best for him. That whole family has been just given nothing but lumps of coal, you know?
Right?
It sucks.
A whole pile of coal.
Yeah. And then they lost Bob, and I feel bad for that whole family.
I know. Poor Bob. All right. My last question is silly. Can we just have a season where Will is just left alone? This is my last question.
I hope so.
Yes and no. I think, I think these experiences that Will has had, again, as we learn more and more about the Upside Down, he's going to be the one that understands and has the best connection. And so I don't see this leaving him. I don't want him to go quite through the same torture that he has in the last 2 seasons, but I think he's going to have quite an important role to play when it comes to the what do we call it? The
Shadow Monster?
Yeah, Shadow. Thank you. I was Smoke Monster. I was stuck in Lost.
Yeah, same thing.
The Shadow Monster. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he does see it, right? At the end of the episode. He does. Yeah.
So do you think that gives in Stranger Things season 3 maybe a connection between 11 and Will that will turn into something powerful?
Oh, no. I hope not. She goes with Mike. No.
I don't mean any type of relationship. I mean that she has seen the Upside Down and experienced it in a way that no one else has. The closest to that being Will. So, do you think that the two of them will find some common ground there? That and maybe we talked at the end of season 1 that maybe Will would have some powers as a result of his time in the Upside Down. We didn't really see those manifest per se, but again, he's had a deeper experience now with the Upside Down, and it's infiltrated him. There's got to be some remnants of that. Well, not necessarily have to be, but there very well could be. And so that could maybe put the two of them bonding in a way. Maybe they can even. I don't know how to describe this, but what do you? There's a dynamic there that's
I could see
unique.
that. I could see that,
yeah.
And even if they're just friends, which they would be, I could see Mike getting jealous over that. And I could also see them having to work together next season to try and defeat the bad guy, whatever the quote unquote, the big bad is.
I would love that. I would love to see Will be able to take an offensive position and not be a victim. I know you kind of said that already. Well, we have a season where Will is just left alone, and maybe he's not left alone, but maybe he's not the victim either. Maybe he's able to take a more offensive position.
I would love to see that, to see them have to, well, like you said, if he had powers, to see him put those to use along with 11, and maybe 11 wouldn't have to suffer using her powers if Will joined forces. I think that would be great.
Addie, what would you like?
I want them to actually meet. I know it says in 85, which is like a whole year away from where they were before, but I want them to actually meet, because even at the Snowball, they could have met at the Snowball, but it didn't show it. So I want them to have official, because every time that 11 was with Will was unconscious or in a coma or something like that. So I don't know. He probably doesn't actually know her. So I want them to be friends.
Agree.
Okay. Well, so that kind of gets us into John's final question, which is, how does 11 fit in now with school and life and reaching Terry? And considering that the story will pick up a year after, she's what we last saw in season 3. So yeah, what are you guys thinking the dynamic will be? And John, I don't want to act like I've fully understood your question. Is there more you want to add to that?
No, that's great. She knows so much, but yet there's some simple things that she just doesn't know. So how do they successfully incorporate her into Hawkins, or does she still kind of hang behind and do her own, life learning? I don't know. What do you guys think?
I want her to go to school with them and not be known as Eleanor.
Yeah. Go ahead,
I think she needs to go to school and to be more quote unquote normal. And I put quotes around that because I don't want her to be normal. Normal's boring. The boys aren't normal. So I want her to be like that. I want her to fit in with them and Max and all that. I would love to see them be a little clique, because that's how things were in the 80s. Everyone was in their little cliques. And I think it would be great if, again, it's a year later. I'm hoping, I know we didn't see Will and Eleven meet. I'm guessing that they're friends, that they're together now. It's a year later. So I'm assuming they all know each other now. They were in school together, all that sort of thing. I mean, Hopper's not going to take her in and not send her to school. So there's that. I would like to see her more balanced, have more regular things in her life, learning how to swim, interacting with more people, going to the mall, doing normal things, and seeing
roller skating,
anything, just, seeing her do these things, and then, maybe see some of those things at the beginning of the season, and seeing maybe like she has new friends, and then kind of having this whatever dropped on them. Because I would like to see that she has had these experiences, before all the crap is dropped on them, because, it's just right down on top of their heads.
Do we think that she'll be able to break Terry out of the kind of state of shock that she's been in for 11, 12 years now?
I do.
Yeah.
Probably. I hope so.
Boy, I do too. I mean, that'd be really, really sad. I mean, heartbreaking if Terry has got her daughter back, but not able to have any type of, meaningful relationship with her. So I think so. I don't know if it's going to take a scientist from Brenner's team to be able to, and I don't know if they can. I mean, right. They shocked her brain and fried her brain. Right. So, but at the same time, yeah, I think they could pretty easily write a way into this show that the audience would believe, because we want that to happen. I think most people want that to happen. So I think all of us are pretty willing to pretty easily suspend our disbelief that there's a way for Terry to come back from the damage that's been inflicted into her brain.
Why would they introduce her and not give them a way to reconcile?
Yeah.
I think at the very least, she would make a pathway for them to communicate with each other. I don't know that it would be a, hey, let's go out and do something together sort of relationship, but, some sort of way that they can communicate with each other.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, on your next bonus episode, I would really like to see whoever you bring on really dive into what's going to be the state of 8 and Brenner and just kind of that whole side of things, because I think there's a lot of potential there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's for sure. Well, anything else you guys want to throw out there before we wrap it up today?
Nope, just real pleasure to be here, and just really, really appreciate the podcast. I know the listeners have brought this up as well, but this experience of listening to you guys as we go, at least like I did along with the show, really makes it a much fuller experience. So hats off to you and Addie. So thank you guys very much for all you put into this.
I agree. And I love hearing Addie. She's so adorable.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Well, why don't you guys tell us about your podcast, and then how folks, if they want to connect with that podcast and connect with you guys individually, how can they do that? And let's go ladies first.
Oh, I was going to let John do it.
That's what I meant. Sorry, I had to segue it back over to you somehow. I don't know.
Dude. So I can be Personally, I can be found on Twitter at John P. McGrail. That's McGrail. And I can be on Facebook at facebook.com/John McGrail. And that's from Salisbury, North Carolina. I am on the Golden Spiral Media Podcast Network, a couple of different places. I am on with the Maid of Steel, who I'm present here with,
Hello.
Karen, and we do our show on the CW's Supergirl. We're currently in hiatus, and we'll be back in mid-April to finish out the rest of season 3, and we've got some good stuff going on there, so come on over and join us. And I'm also co-host of Triplecast here on Golden Spiral Media, which Daryl was the founder of that podcast, he and Clint, and we take 3 films and we put them together for some common theme. It could be a technical person, it could be a story element, it could be a particular director or actor, or a series of films as they come out chronologically, and we put them together and we do an in-depth review and discussion on them, and we have a lot of fun with it. And right now, currently, we're in a series with Karen and me, and we're talking about Breakout Eddie Murphy.
Oh, you Monty Hall? Sorry. That was from the Golden Child, guys.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, we'll be talking about Trading Places today, I guess.
Oh, that's a good one. I love that film. Yeah.
Golden Child, Trading Places, and Beverly Hills Cop.
That fits the criteria. Yeah.
It sure does. Okay, so he already talked about Maid of Steel. So I am at Aliveria on the Twitter machine. That is Aleveria. And there's a link in my bio that will take you to my blog, which has all my other links, including all the Golden Spiral Media podcasts on which I am, and all that stuff. So that's the easy way to find me.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys for being on the show today. And of course, if you're listening and want to send in your feedback for a future episode of this podcast, you can do that by heading over to goldenspiralmedia.com/feedback. We also have the voice feedback number, 304-837-2278. And that's also where you can go to let us know that you want to participate in one of these roundtable podcasts. And as I gave the email address out earlier, we don't give the email address out a whole lot, but we do for special situations like this. If you want to be a host, that's feedback@goldenspiralmedia.com. You can always use that email address, so it comes right to me. And if you want to be a part of a meetup for that Fan Expo Dallas, be sure to reach out to us and let us know as well. Addie, how can they reach us on social media?
So you can follow us on Instagram at Stranger Things GSM, our Twitter Upside Down GSM, and our Facebook www.facebook.com/group/Stranger Things GSM. Okay, that's nice.
All right. Well, guys, thanks again for joining us today. And until next time,
Stay strange.